Welcome to your video on MLA format outlines. This video and outline were based off of the OWL Purdue website on MLA format. When it comes to creating an outline, you're going to need 4 major components for an effective outline. Ideally, you need to follow these 4 suggestions to create an effective outline. When creating a topic for an outline, follow these 2 rules for capitalization. When it comes to first level heads, some of you have inserted heading. You're going to present the information using all uppercase letters. And for secondary and tertiary, meaning third items, use upper and lowercase letters. And I'm going to make sure that you have this format proper within your paper. So what this means, parallelism. Well, how can I accomplish parallelism in my paper, in my outline? And what you're going to need to do is make sure that your headings and your subheadings have parallel structure. If the first heading is a verb, then the second heading should also be a verb. So here's my example. Choose desired colleges and prepare application. Choose and prepare are both verbs. They are also in the present tense of the verb. The present tense is usually preferred when you create your outline. So what this means, having parallel structure, if you start with a noun, the next subtopic or heading should also start with a noun. If it starts with a verb, please continue on with verbs. Coordination. How do I accomplish this? Well, when it comes to coordination, all the information that you contain in your headings should have the same significance as the next heading. And the same goes for subheadings. It's not that information should be less significant, it needs to be equal. This is all about equality. So for number 1 and 2 listed here, visit and evaluate college campus and visit and evaluate college websites. These are both of the same importance. Then you're going to note important statistics about them, and you're going to look for interesting classes for both information. You want to make sure that your subheadings and your headings, they relate to each other. So campus and website visits are equally significant, and they are part of the main tasks you would need to do. Finding statistics and classes found on college websites are parts of the process involved in carrying out the main heading topics. So the same thing is going to go for your paper. You're going to have main topic headings, and then you're going to need to find your research and your ideas that will link up to these 2 main headings. The next part is subordination. Well, how can you accomplish subordination? By now you've heard about parallelism, making sure that your headings and your subheadings relate to each other in the same tense with the same proper verbs. And then you just heard about coordination and making sure that your information is of all equal value and equality. And now you're to subordination. Well, how can you accomplish subordination? This means that your information in your headings is more than just being general. It needs to be the word specific. And that's something we're going to make sure of. So an example here, describe an influential person in your life, and you may decide on a specific person. You can come up with specifics because of this heading. If the information you give does not lead to specifics, then your heading is probably too broad. So of course, describing an influential person gives you an exact person you can think of. Division. Well, how can you accomplish division? Each heading should be divided into 2 or more parts. So my example, when I list a heading of compile a resume, you're going to list relevant coursework, you're going to list work experience, and you're going to list volunteer experience. All of these are from the heading compile a resume, and they're divided into 3 parts. When we say technically there's no limit to the number of subdivisions for your headings, there isn't. But to think about it, if you seem to have a lot, it might be useful to use those pieces in different parts of your paper and make it not be so many subdivisions for one paragraph with no subdivisions for the next. So we're going to make sure that it's organized and it's well thought out. Why and how to create a useful outline? Well, why would you even use an outline? I know some of you are thinking that creating an outline you don't need to do. But when it comes down to it, when you get into your research paper, you're going to need an outline that relates back to your paper. So there are many reasons, but in general, it may be helpful to create an outline when you want to show the hierarchical How are you? Anyways, the relationships or logical ordering of the information. When it comes to this, some of you may have logical ordering, meaning you're talking about dates, you're talking about time periods. Some of you may look at the relationships of drugs to each other. Some of you may look at a compare and contrast to those who are biased or unbiased, meaning who have opinion for or who have an opinion against. For research papers, an outline may help you keep track of large amounts of information, and this is true for us. You're going to have a lot of information, and many of you have a lot of note cards. You're going to want to make sure that your outline keeps track of that information. You've used it, you've not used it, or maybe it's not valid to your current paper. And then, of course, outlines might be used in creative writing to help you organize your plot, keep track of your character traits, and many people find that organizing an oral report or a presentation in an outline form helps them speak more effectively in front of a crowd. And this is true if you are taking a speech class. So below are the primary reasons for creating an outline. It aids you in the process of writing, it helps you organize your ideas, presents your material in a logical form, shows the relationships among ideas in your writing, constructs an ordered overview of your writing, defines boundaries and groups. What this all means is that by creating an outline, it's going to help you organize, it's going to help you write, and it's going to help your information come through in either a logical or it shows the relationships in your writing. It also defines the boundaries and groups, and what this means is that if you're talking about a topic, you're going to be able to decide, well, this information needs to go with this group, or this information needs to go with another group. And you're going to want to make sure that your groups line up with each other. So in the end, for those of you that have not created an outline, you're coming back to the thought, well, how do I even start? Where do I begin? And where you need to start is determining the purpose of your paper. Many of you, when you wrote your research proposal, you didn't have a purpose specifically stated. And that was one problem with it. When we say determine the purpose of your paper, it comes down to the thought that, why am I even writing this? Other than my teacher's telling me to, why? And that's the thought I want you to answer. Determine the audience you're writing for. Some of you have chosen to write a paper that's, say, directed at a generation of your own age, and you want that paper to be directed at them. Maybe some of you are writing papers that span multiple generations. You're going to want to make sure that you keep an audience in mind. You're also going to develop the thesis of your paper. I know many of you don't understand what the word thesis means and why you'd be writing a thesis, but when it comes to thesis writing, you are going to create a sentence that drives home all the information you want to get across in your paper, and it really proves that this is what your paper is about. Then in an outline, after you've determined those two ideas and you've developed a thesis, you're going to brainstorm. So you're going to list all the ideas you want to include in your paper. So this might be a web, a list, a cluster, a free write. And you're going to brainstorm. Then you are going to organize. This is where your research and source cards are going to come in handy. You're going to organize your information and you're going to group related ideas together. Then you're going to order them. You're going to arrange your material in subsections from specific to general or from abstract to concrete. So this means what ideas are very vague to what ideas are specific and something I'd want to use. And then you're going to label. You're going to create your main and subheadings. You're going to put your ideas onto paper. So remember, creating an outline before writing your paper will make organizing your thoughts a lot easier. Whether you follow the suggested guidelines is up to you, but making any kind of outline, even in just some jotting down some main ideas, will be beneficial to your writing. So think about this on a go-forward basis. Many of you may not be actual outline writers right now, but it's something that can help you in the future and with your academic writing. With your papers, many of you are going to see a format that looks like this, and this is MLA format currently. You're going to need to insert your paper into an MLA outline format. You will need to follow this point by point, except for the fact that I have listed here the words, the purpose of this paper is, ... I don't want you using that as the purpose of your paper. I want you to include your own words in here. I want you to make up your own sentence. When it comes to your MLA outline format, before you even start typing, I want to make sure you go to the top of your page, click on References, and make sure that you have the MLA 7th edition highlighted. This is going to help you in writing up your outline. The next point is to go in and check that you have Times New Roman, size 12 font picked out as your font. As you can see right here, this box is not Times New Roman. If you type in other headings, other points, you're going to need to go back and check and make sure that all of your writing is done in Times New Roman. Where it says thesis, we're going to be creating a thesis for you to write, a thesis for you to create, and that's what will go here in this word thesis. For A, B, and C, those are a part of your introductory paragraph, and those are the 3 main points that you're probably going to want to make throughout the rest of your paper. When it says topic, sentence, subject, you're going to have multiple topic sentences, and you're going to have evidence. A lot of the evidence is going to come from your note cards. When it comes to your topic sentence, the reason why you would want to define and to organize your ideas is so that your evidence can be specific and it relates to your ideas. My sidebar, you're going to keep adding subtopics for all of your paragraphs until you reach your conclusion. As you can see here, this paper only lists 4 paragraphs. That may not be the case. In the paper format I'm asking you to use, it's a page number. I'm asking you to get to a certain amount of pages, whether that's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, so on and so forth. That page number is the end result. That's the end I want you to keep in mind. I'm not asking for 5 paragraphs. I'm not asking for 6. But what's going to take you to that end result is what I want you to think of. And lastly, you're going to have a conclusion where you restate your thesis, just in a few different words, and you're going to hit home 3 last major points. The outline of this paper, you're going to want to start by brainstorming your ideas, and then typing up this format and turning it into a document. Before you close out, make sure that you save and that you hold on to this outline because this is a working outline. It will change throughout the time that you have been creating your paper, the time that you've been researching, and of course, it can always change and grow. And you're going to want to make sure that you have one readily available to you, so if we change your ideas, we change your subjects, you're able to do this quickly. Now is the time that you are going to begin brainstorming and working on your outlines. If you have any other further questions, concerns, or comments, please feel free to ask them at this time. Make sure you keep in mind what a good outline will look like and the parts of an outline of brainstorming, ordering, being specific, and making sure that your format lines up.